experiences, you might have realized that it is very difficult. And in fact, considering ourselves as customers, we can assume how difficult or how complex the customers are. We are never satisfied. We are over questioning people. We do not decide immediately, and we want more and more information, yet we are not really processing it properly. And likewise there. So primarily, customer is always, there are very few exceptional, of course, there are, but then in majority of the customers are basically difficult to handle. Let me just tell you, even if we are bent upon buying something straight away, still we make lot of queries. And then I think one point we discussed yesterday, the customers who are ill informed, it is very difficult to properly satisfy such customers, because they do not know about the technicalities or the inner details of that product, yet they try to discuss and argue with the person who is on the counter, or a person who is attending the customer. So but let me just put you in the other side of the coin. That is that supposedly you are the person who is attending the customers. So how you should behave, how you should respond, how you should manage. Yesterday we discussed quite a few strategies, and some of those strategies are that be a patient listener. Uh, and one very important aspect in this regard is that use proper phrases. There are several phrases which are highly avoidable, and they shouldn't be used at all. And there are several phrases which can actually help you, douse down the fire. I mean, try to calm down the situation. So it is very important that you know all those phrases, the use of language. In the previous unit, we discussed the language focus, but I feel that in this particular situation, the language focus is much more important. So, assuming that you are going for the interview of a sales officer or a sales representative, and you are put in such situation where you are very very tightly cornered in a situation, and you have to handle, you are asked to give a resolution to a situation which is very very complex. So what you can do is that one, that you can say, sir, I will be patient listener, and I'll be ready with the right kind of information about the product and the service. At the same time, it is very important that you know the right kind of phrases that should be used. Sometimes we say, no, sir, it is not possible, or sometimes they say it's not our policy, or like that, or sometimes you just simply you may say, sir, why don't you give me time to explain it, and like that. Even though these are quite courteous phrases, yet they are taken otherwise, or they are taken differently by the customers. So I think instead you have lot many other expressions that you can say, excuse me, sir, but may I explain it? Or sir, it has been found useful by certain other customers, so maybe if you can give a try, or rather you can say, yes, sir, agree. So I hope you will not mind it if I ask you for your contact number and update you with the product or its detailed information and so forth. I mean, there are a lot of ways and means that you can adopt, but the only thing is that you have to be very very careful about the phrases that you use to while tackling the customer. And there are a couple of other things which can be good strategies also, like as I mentioned to you, that you can follow up the query. That sets a good precedence, and you can go little extra mile. That means if there are services which are not often available or provided, but if you can arrange those services, they make a very positive impact on the customer. Similarly, what you can do is that sometimes the sales people have some complementaries, some flexibilities with them. So they can extend those small courtesies. Say, for example, if somebody is not ready to buy a product and demanding some concessions or something, then you can say, "Oh, okay, sir, along with this product, we also have a small scheme, though it is only for the selected customers. So maybe you can extend some gift or something like that." So all these are strategies that to deal with the situation. So what you should do, I mean, you have to be analytical of the situation. You should know how to technically handle it, and maybe your prompt response, warmth in your response, and all sorts of extra efforts, those can be very useful. Say, for example, if some lady is coming to your store and if she is not able to push her baby on the cart properly, then you can rise from your seat and just open the door and arrange maybe a proper chair for the child to sit, and then making the lady comfortable somewhere to sit, and then you can come back to her, ma'am, what I can show to you, what are you interested in, or what brings you to this store, like that. So all those situations can be handled with the right kind of phrases. And somebody asked yesterday that the grammar issues are also there. So in fact, we have been discussing these issues right through the last 5 days, and uh, but there are but in this particular context, sometimes you can say, you can use the relative clauses very often. You can say, sir, the product which had come here, so this which is very important. And you can say, whom should I contact in case the new product comes. So these relative clauses are also useful in your phrasal arrangement of the sentences while you are dealing with the customers. So like who, whom, whose, that. So these three, four are the crux of the relative clauses. So that means you relate the previous to the futuristic action that you intend to take. Similarly, it is very important that while talking to the customers, I think what is the right space, the right words where you should stress. Like you can say, may I help you on this particular product to know about its details. So then you should know where to put stress and where to put a more rhythmic presentation. In fact, it has been seen that the people who work in the service industry, particularly in the sales or in the promotions of the product or in stores, you can see the people who work there, using very long sentences but very, very rhythmic. Nowhere it seems that they stuck with the right type of word. So they are actually prepared for that. So they have rehearsed in that particular presentation. Therefore, when you go for the interview, I think you have to be really understanding the customers. How do they behave? What is their reaction? And sometimes you also have to be a little careful because there can be unprecedented reaction from the customer, even though you may be totally taken aback. So the required quality or action on the service provider's part is to not lose the composure, remain calm, and handle the situation with the right type of strategy. Sometimes you might find it that very, very peculiar. So therefore, you may not find any solution to that situation, but yet you have to handle it because there is no the escape from that kind of situation. So you see, one has to know the right type of words, the words where to give stress, and also how to bring in rhythm in the connected speech. So This is very important, that the proper phrases. You must have you 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 may be required to rehearse those phrases, because you might have seen that these people who are at the stores, who are at the sales, who are at the promotion, or who are on the discussion table, they use such jargons that they speak endlessly, and it seems that their sentence will never end. Yet you don't feel really bored with that. So that is something which they have practiced, and it is very very handy. So, you may ask me that what kind of stress, where is to be put stress. So sometimes you can say that if we take examples only from the service industry or service scenario, then you can say, "Ma'am, excuse me, but do you really want this particular product? We have we have another version or the updated version of this particular mobile phone. Can I show you that if you don't mind?" Like this. So if you don't mind, so you must put stress on mind or something like it. I mean, you have to decide it yourself. You are already, through the degree program, and maybe a little bit orientation and some experience. So I am very sure that you probably know. So finally, we come to the conclusion that most of the customers are highly demanding. They are very talkative. They are indecisive. They are reluctant, rude, irritating, dissatisfied, and passive. So what you have to do? You have to be using the right type of strategy to deal with them. What we call the appropriate methodology, appropriate attitude, and you also have to be courteous. You also have to be attentive. You can go a little extra mile, and so forth. So, what the small example about the baby I discussed with you, or maybe if somebody has come to buy a product and yet not keenly looking for the product, then you can, small gift can be added to the product. So these are called the moments of truth. So moments of truth are basically when the actualized situation happens. If you are forthcoming there, helping there, then the person doesn't forget that. So one always remember, oh yes, at that particular complex situation, somebody was very very helpful, and in future perhaps that person, that lady, that couple will like to visit your store, will like to discuss some service matter with you, or maybe contacting you for supplying some bigger equipment, bigger product. Just remembering that yes, you were quite courteous. So this particularly this attitude helps a lot. So what we come to understand from the discussion about the characteristics of the customers, behaviors of the customers, and the required response from the person. I mean, once again, I'll remind you that basically, I'm not asking you to be here as a real salesperson, but you have to assume, because you are going to appear for the interview, and then you should know the essentials of customers. What are the essentials of customers? Customers are indecisive, reluctant, rude, and indecisive, talkative, repetitive, and demanding, and so forth. So, keeping all those situations of the customers in view, what should be your response? So, I have already, marked 3 4 points. So that means you have to be patient listener. That means you have to be soft spoken, gently persuasive. You see, this is one very important aspect that you must have with you. I mean, the salesperson should have this kind of quality with him or her. Gently persuasive. What is gently persuasive means? You can't say, "Sir, you should buy it." So please, what I'm trying to say is that you have to avoid the word should, or you have to avoid the word must. So you can simply say, "Sir, yeah, it is true that you already have this particular product, but I would still, so instead of should, it can be would. I would suggest that you try this product once again, because if you simply get off with the behavior of the customer, and then you think that okay, why, and I cannot pursue further, that means you are failing in your approach. That means you will fail in your assignment. So gently persuasive means use the right kind of words. You have to use the very soft tone, but yet you have to be persuasive. Persuasive means you have to keep on asking, keep on requesting, keep on putting things in a perspective that the prospective customer is turned around again and again made interested in the purchase of that particular service or product. So you have to be encouraging, less aggressive, less loud. You have to be good listener. You have to be little chattering also, because if you don't know how to engage somebody in the talk, in the dialogue, in the conversation, it is not possible to bring the customer to the table to discuss the purchase or to sell the product. So all these things are there. I am putting these words in a perspective because after a lot of discussion, we come to the situation where this type of vocabulary is used. That the rude, offensive, reluctant behavior, talkative, aggressive, indecisive, soft-spoken, ill-mannered, irritating, encouraging, aggressive, defensive, offensive, well-informed, mannered, polite, pleasant, disinterested. So many such terms have come to our vocabulary. You must have this rich vocabulary with you. You see, it is very, very competitive, very, very difficult these days to, most difficult is to sell a product. Yes, somebody is raising his hand. Would you like to ask something? Okay. So this is all about the characteristics of the customers and the essentials of the customer service. I would like to bring your attention to the grammatical part here, which is very important. Actually, in customer service, there is a lot of use of the linkers. And the linkers are basically the and, as well as, besides, furthermore, moreover, in addition, only, but another issue is this, another point is this. Like, so we use lot of linkers in the customer service. How? You can say, oh yes, that product which came yesterday and the product which has been received right now, both are available, sir. Can you have a look, or would you like to have a look? Or you can say, the product is already with you. Moreover, we have another product in this particular range. Would you like to see? Or you can say, usually we say, sir, in addition to this particular version of the watch, we also have the current or the rare piece with us. So can we show it to you like this? So this, and moreover, above, and in addition to, and another point of view, something like it. Just like somebody is discussing and arguing with you on the product. Basically, he or she is not well informed about the technical details, yet the customer gets into the conversation and the argument. So you can say, oh, yes, that is true, but here is another point. Here is another side of the coin. So here is another side. Here is another point. Here is an alternate way to understand it. Something like it. So all these things play a great role in making your product really uh, likely to be purchased. So one has to create a situation where this type of environment is created, that so what I am trying to say is that you can be put, yesterday somebody said, what are the difficult questions, or what are the complex questions. So these are the complex questions. You can be put into a situation, and then you can be asked that how would you come out of this kind of situation. That means how would you deal with this kind of situation. So this is all about the presence of your mind, and of course your previous experience with dealing such people, as well as studying a lot about the behavior of the people. If you don't study, if you do not listen to the experiences of the people, then it is very difficult to handle such situation. One phrase I found out yesterday, it is like the listening to the beaten track. Listening to the beaten track. So this is a very good jargon. So beaten track means the previous experiences. So it is in the service industry, in the management industry, in the financial aspect, where you are going as a business graduate or masters of the business administration, maybe in the financial administration or in the HR. You have to learn. You learn more from the experiences of others rather than from the textbooks, because these books only teach you the principles which have been evolved, which have been theorized. But what happens in the real kind of situation, which is more realistic, which is more pragmatic, that can be understood well only by discussion. That is why the group discussion plays a key role in the management of any organization, any service, any store, any industry, any firm, any institution, rather, I should be saying. So these are some of the points with regard to the customer services and the essentials of customer services and the behavior of customer service. So in a nutshell, we can say that the positive attitude will play far more encouraging role. So while presenting yourself as a candidate for the service industry, you have to keep in mind that you can be a contending person to this situation only if you possess all those qualities, exhibit them during your interview. So preparing for interview means you building such skill that might be handy in the situation for which you will be put during the interview. So I said that there are two things. One is the linkers, another one is the stress. So sometimes we give stress, like I say, this is a beautiful building. This is a beautiful building. Sham has not arrived as yet. So these are just practice sentences, but if you want to use them in the customer service, then say for example you are discussing, you are putting your views in the discussion table, and there are four people attending the discussion, and you are asked to open up the discussion. Then what do? You can put in that well, we have a new product recently launched by our company, and this product is going to be marketed team very shortly. We must prepare a data sheet of this product which gives all the essential aspects of this product in brief yet very crispy manner. So this crispy, essential, we must, all these are the, so these while speaking, while discussing things, while presenting your views in the meeting, right stress on the right kind of word at right place. And also I think you have to know the proper punctuation, where to take small viram, small period. So half a period, full period, what you should take, that you have to decide yourself, where to end the sentence, or where to take semi period. Then you have to accordingly present your sentence, and know that where to put stress more, or where to put less stress. So sometimes we say these are the weak conjunctions, where you put less stress. So, dear learners, this is all about the block 3, and if in this last unit is the work ethics, I have already discussed with you that work ethics are very, very important, and I told you one core thing point yesterday, that it is very difficult to uniformize the work ethics. There are standard work ethics, of course, but then it is not possible to apply all the work ethics at all the workplaces, because each workplace is a different socio-cultural entity in itself. Because somewhere you might find only men are working, somewhere you might find that there are men and women both are working, somewhere you will find that there are different scales of people, manpower who are working. I mean, different positions are there. Some helpers are there, some supervisors are there, some managers are there, some technical people are there. All sorts of people work. So each work space is a different situation, and each workspace requires a different strategy to manage the situation. So, but there are, by and large, there are certain skills which are helpful to every workspace, and you can add from your experience to those skills, and then you can make provide a solution or handle that kind of situation. So, if you are asked, I mean, suppose you are going for a managerial post, then what should be the assignment that you have to assume? Because some information might be there in your interview letter, but more information can be gathered through visiting the website of that particular organization, or you may like to discuss if some of your friend is working in that kind of environment or in that industry. Then you can find out from your friend or your relative, and then you devise right kind of strategy, that what type of skills might be required and to work in that kind of work situation, workplace. So, but there are, of course, technical know-how, technical aspects. Those are already there, which for which you might have done the major study. For example, if you are business administration, or if you are for the human resource, if you are for the financial management, those are specialized areas. So the financial management, yet how to manage this situation, that part we are discussing, and use of the English language at a workplace is in the point of discussion in that aspect. You see, there are three, four very basic or the core ethics which are required for work in every space. So they are irrespective of the space. They are essential. They are central to any situation. So what are those essential ethics? Those are very first essential skill, and all of us know that how to communicate. The management is all about communicating, whether to communicate the decision of the management, or to discuss the present situation scenario, or devise a right type of strategy. So if you are not able to communicate properly, I'm sure, I am afraid that one is not going to be a right person to the industry or to the workplace. So very first trait or quality or characteristics or ability that one must have is to have the interpersonal skills. Interpersonal skills means skill to know one another. I think on the day one itself we discussed this very skill. Interpersonal skills means the skill is to know about the manners, about the attitude, appearance, habits, of others, as well as to reflect our own behavior accordingly. If we know that my colleague, my co-worker is not ready to mix up too much, then I shouldn't insist. Then I should respect his or her attitude, habits, and manners. And second thing, which is very important aspect of the interpersonal skill, is that we should know how people, what do they expect from another or you. So, if say for example, if somebody is not comfortable with my attire, appearance, then I shouldn't unnecessarily encroach upon the space of other person and make myself appear quite often if one is not appreciated. There are small, very trivial habits which are very important. Some people, one should know how to look at others. Sometimes just our staring at others can offend the next person. So we have to be very careful about it. How to see, how to glance others, how to respond, how to make others cheerful, and so forth. So the interpersonal skills are primarily our uh, to communicate our persona non-verbally. So it is basically considered to be one of the great behavioral skill. So if one can imbibe this particular skill, definitely one can create a very congenial environment. So, dear learners, if you are in a situation to go for an interview and you are called for an interview, I am sure that you will you will definitely read about the different skills those are required for the workspace as ethics, and you will find that interpersonal skill, that means how to know one another, how to behave with others, how to become part of that others, how to make others at home feel at home in your company. These are what are the interpersonal skills are. And also the another aspect of interpersonal skill is that one should know how to judge I mean to make a right kind of judgment about others. Simply, if somebody is not very talkative, then we cannot designate that person is very arrogant or rude. The other person might turn out to be one of the best souls in the world, but less talkative as well. So, you see, we cannot assess the others simply by one exhibiting traits, but we should wait, read, and make right kind of judgment. So, this is also part of the interpersonal skill. So, that means knowing and exhibiting our own personalities and exchanging them and making a congenial environment to work. Next skill, which is very important actually, that is taking initiative in the workspace. You see, if you are always passive, shirking, not suggesting anything on the discussion table, or if there is an extra work to be undertaken and it is assigned to a team of maybe 5 people, and you are always the last person to say, oh, okay, I will also join. So this I will also join, this is taken a very very in a negative manner. So what you should be doing, I mean, you should show right kind of initiative. Okay, yes, since it is assigned to our team, we must come forward and let us begin it. So a good manager is a good leader. This is a very famous quote. A good manager is a good leader. So, manager is one who can manage the things. The person who manages the things, that person is one who can lead the others. So, this leading attitude must be with persons who wants to be successful in the work space. So, this is a very basic ethic that in the workspace, because most often the workspace doesn't constitute only one person working. Usually, it is a space where quite a few people are working. and often unannounced assignments do fall in the workspace. So everybody has to share the burden of that. It is not that one person should be taking all the burden. So what? How you should propose yourself? How you should, you know, I mean, my intention is to discuss with you that you must be ready to take initiative, even though you can clearly state that okay, I will not do it alone, but let us do it. So let us do it means you make a beginning to do it. So this initiative should be there. So this initiative is not only to discharge the work, the initiative must come in all the matters of the workspace, be it the clean environment, be it a positive environment, or be it an effective execution of some scheme, plan, or something, So whatever load comes in for any assignment, I feel that one of the best ethics is that you be initiative, taking initiative. The third one, the third initiative, the third very important ethics of any workspace is, be dependable. This is one trait which often with the newcomers found lacking, because from the very first time when we enter into workspace, I mean, this is what is expected. So you just assume yourself that this will also be expected from you. So if you are asked, say, okay, you are working from 10 to 6 day shift in some factory, or you are there as a supervising person, and at 5:30 there is a sudden announcement that today you will have to do a little bit extra overtime, and then I mean, then complete the pending assignment as well as make plan for tomorrow, because there is a big requirement of the product from the market, something like it. So the problem with the management is that they have to comply with the market requirement, because that is the business is about. If you don't meet the industry requirement, the market requirement, then business will not sustain. So it is a automatic pressure on the industry or on the organization, and organization will ask its senior managers that you get it done today right away itself, and then they will come to you that, oh yes, this is a sudden announcement, sudden arrival, and this has to be done without question. Now what happens that some of you who are first time joinees, those who are there already, they know, they understand that such exigent assignments are very common thing, and then they are attuned to stay extra hours or 2 hours or whatever it is. But maybe if you are first time joinee, then you can say no. What is it? I was asked to sit here from 10 to 6. Why should I sit beyond a point like that? So you may, grumble, you may complain, you may grudge or do whatever. And sometimes, what happens that some people simply leave, and it's okay, my duty is to serve from 10 to 6. But you see, that doesn't sometimes doesn't apply in the service sector. Say, for example, if some international delegation is visiting some five-star hotel, I'm staying at a five-star hotel, and the dinner is scheduled at 8 o'clock in the evening. But the discussions at some other office delays the dinner. So that doesn't mean that the team which is there to cater to the visiting delegate will simply leave. Even if it is 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, or 10 o'clock, the service sector demands that you have to wait for their visiting, their joining the dining table. So there one cannot be complaining all the time, grudging all the time, because all these are human factors. One can delay in one meeting, then it will entail delay in second meeting, and ultimately it will entail the delay in the assigned or appointed activity. That might be dinner, that might be some other meeting or conference or whatever it is. So what I'm trying to say is that one has to be dependable. So because what happens, the entire stake of the industry, whether it is service industry, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is product, whether it is financial service sector, or whatever it is, or it is a university, college, in professional college, the entire stake on the quality and quantity of the service that is made available, that is rendered by the people who work in that particular industry. So, dear learners, these are very important ethics, interpersonal skills, the dependability, and also initiative taking ability. This is very important, and I think if you read about the ethics, work ethics, then you will come across a lot of vocabulary with you, like as I mentioned to you, like initiative, like dependability, hosting, like delay, inordinate delay, intended delay, subsequent delay. I mean, a whole lot of new terminology will come to you, and while appearing for the interview, this terminology will be very, very useful to you. So, it's very important that you imbibe these work ethics. And I have already discussed with you one very important issue, that was the right kind of the grammatical features of the language. So, the right type of verbal phrases are very important. Use of models is very important. I've already told you that should, must, need, and out are the models, and these should be used very, very carefully. I cannot say and all the time you must not do it or you should do it. You know, so this is very important that these models are not very often preferred in certain type of situations. So there I must have a proper verbal phrase. I can say, well, you need to do it or you ought to have done it, something like it. You should have done it is a different tone rather than you ought to have done it. So the use of models makes right kind of verbal phrases. So while if you are little conscious about their use, situation can be totally turned around. You know, even if there is a difficult situation, even if there is unimaginable situation, but if you are in a right frame of mind and know how to use the right type of phrases, definitely it helps. If your positivity is there in your phrase, if your phrase really depicts that you are very positive, you are very forthcoming, you are very active, initiative taking, and master of interpersonal skill. Oh, sure, definitely you will make yourself a contending candidate for the position. So these are the traits which are required. So you know. But at the same time you have to be very well disciplined. Nobody is going to tell you in while you are in job you should be trustworthy, you should be loyal, you should be committed to do the job, you should have communication skill, making efforts, and above all you should be master of the interpersonal skills. So interpersonal skills are actually these skills are not something that they can be known about. I mean, you can read about them, but you have to practically imbibe them. You know. So if I just ask you hammer somebody, oh, it is not possible. I can make somebody self-disciplined, come on right time, punctual, but I cannot make somebody skilled in the interpersonal behavior, because those are the innate behaviors, and those can be cultivated only by one's own effort. So think of all these traits, and when you prepare for interview, keep in mind that these are the essential traits required for the service industry. So, along with it, we will also discuss like why discussions are important. I think some of you are quite aware that in the business activity, in the business environment, the very first thing happens that is the meeting of all the people who work in an environment, be it the smallest step workers or supervisors or assistant managers or managers. Everybody is required to discuss the in the right first thing in the morning is to take part in the discussion, because even a small technician can be very important person with his inputs for the meeting. So everybody should know how to arrange discussions, how to participate in discussions, what should be the right type of strategy to participate in discussions. And during the discussions, one has to sometimes make presentations. So all those different types of presentations are these days. I mean, if you look at the private sector, it is technically very sound, and a lot of different types of presentations. In earlier days, it used to be OHP presentation. Then now today we have PPTs, and then also there are different types of, I mean, all sorts of high-tech gadgets are available. Excuse me, for making the presentation. And then we will discuss briefly business letters and writing the business emails. So actually, the idea of discussing the presentations and making presentations and the discussion is to sorry, imbibe in you a kind of ability that you can present. I mean, you are supposed to give in your interview. You are supposed to give a demo how you would arrange the discussion, how the discussion goes about. You know, so how many people can be, or how to entertain the strangers in discussions? What kind of topics are right for discussions? Group discussions, how to make them, really effective and uh, turn around into some solution providing activity. So, can conflicts will also be discussed in the discussion. Sometimes we often shirk from the situation, and we avoid conflicts. But it is not, if there is a conflict, there is a difference of opinion. Obviously, it has to be discussed. Somewhere it has to be vented out. And if that can be done, it can be done with the right amount of strategy in the discussion. So, first of all, I think all of you must be aware what do we mean by discussion, because often in our orientation in the business administration, graduate studies, or in else in some other environment, if you have already worked in some environment, we know what do we mean by discussions. uh, Most often you might have found out that if the interviews are on, small discussion takes place after every interview. So you have to know how to interact, how to give your inputs in such type of meetings which are meant for the recruitment. Uh, Another important aspect of the discussion is to make your point in such a way that it meets the requirement as to what the team members are looking at you. That means when you become part of the discussion, first of all, I think in any business environment, it it is very unlikely that you are in a position to avoid the discussion. What I'm trying to say is that whether or not you are willing to participate in the discussion, one has to participate in the discussion because that is the essential activity of the business and business environment. You have to devise the right kind of strategy for the business. You have to promote the sales. You have to push up the production. You have to meet the deadlines. So all these things are possible only when the right type of environment exists. So right type of environment, how this will be formed? This will be created only through the participation feedback of different people who work in that kind of that environment. So you can study about the discussions also, because first of all one has to decide what is my objective, what is the objective of the discussion, and how to properly conduct the right, what is the right methodology to conduct a discussion. And one very important aspect that you can think of by preparing yourself for the discussion is that one gets noticed. You see, if it is a discussion group which is comprising of senior officers, middle level, middle rank officers, as well as the workers, supervisors, assistant manager, managers, chief managers, and maybe some CMD as well. Then if you as assistant manager is participating, and if you are very creative, very calculative in your presentation, very effective in your presentation, you get noticed. So this is a rare opportunity to get heard and get noticed. Therefore, it is imperative that as a manager, as a managerial candidate, or looking for the higher position, one must not shirk from the discussion groups, from the meetings. What we are discussing is actually, this is based on the literature. So if you can read the literature about discussion, you will come to know a lot of different terminologies from your reading. Like you see, there are people who have inhibitions. They are scared. They are not forthcoming. They are not open to discussion. They are not extrovert. They are argumentative. They are delusive. Oh, so many, such a long list of vocabulary can be noted down from the reading. So if you have this kind of vocabulary with you, then you can make a very good meeting. What happens in the meeting? The very first idea of conducting a good meeting is to make small, what we call it, a pre-discussion study. So pre-discussion study means you can meet people around, ask them what are the points to be discussed in the meeting, and then you can say, well, whether or not we should include this point, whether it will create a conflict. And sometimes there are meeting only for conflict resolution. So you have to choose the right kind of topic for the right kind of situation. If it is for the production, then think of the market requirements, think of your own workforce capability, sufficient financing support, and the production line. But if it is about the conflict resolution, think of different factions working in the environment, their issues, their pending issues, and so forth. So all these things are required to make a discussion very effective, to make the discussion very result oriented. What happens in the discussion? I think this is a moot point. So in the discussion, first of all, by one of the participants who are in the discussion group, one presents a subject with some rationale to it. Say, for example, as I mentioned to you, if it is about enhancement of the production, then one would say, as you know, that after COVID, the demand of cars in the market has suddenly surged up. Because for a very long time, there was no demand. People were just locked inside their houses. And now, since the business is opening, school and colleges are opening, workspaces are now becoming more and more of functional. So people are moving and they would like to move fast. But it is tough to travel in the public transport, so everyone likes to have his or her small car. Therefore, it is right time for our industry to increase the production. We know that we have the space crunch, we have the labor crunch, yet we must not shirk the situation, and we should take work extra mile to meet the required demand of the market. So like this, then different people can say, well, that is fine, but we don't have sufficient funds in our hands. There is a shortage of raw material like this. Then maybe another person who is in the procurement section, he can say, okay, we will take care of that, and you just put in your demand to us. We will definitely make uh, uh, the, uh, the required quantity available. So then, if there is some person who is representing the laborers group, he can say, well, it is not possible. Our people are already weak due to the coronavirus effect, and we don't have enough strength. So someone can then say different thing, and ultimately maybe you may not drive out a clear-cut result from it, but it has sensitized the environment, and maybe the next meeting will end in a concrete result, so forth. So what happens? There is an opening statement. There are arguments. There are counter arguments. There is agreeing. There is disagreeing, and finally, you may conclude it. Do not think that the meeting is always inconclusive. Even if it is inconclusive, some positivity will definitely emanate from the discussion. So that positivity will be the feedback, will be the precursor for the next round of meeting, and perhaps in the next round of meeting you may end up in a clear cut resolution of the situation, or the net desired opinion of the different divergent groups will make the conclusive decision. So, dear learners, this is we all know. I think we have been You have been participating definitely in the discussion groups, in your college activities, in your different spheres of your study. You definitely you might have seen that how to present the discussion, how to participate in the discussion. Uh, Only thing that in the participation, the participant must also behave in a certain conduct proper manner. I mean, one should know how to conduct oneself in the meeting. You cannot always be very rowdy. One cannot be very loud. One cannot be very interrupting. You can interrupt, but with the right kind of phrase, words. We have already been discussing that right kind of phrase is always preferred, is always welcome, but one must know and read the situation before that. In discussions, in discussions, usually there can be a small presentation also. So presentation is meant to basically put in the idea of one person about the whole situation, and presentation also sets a ground for the discussion. So a small presentation can be a precursor, can be a backgrounder for the subsequent discussion. So if we look at there are different types of presentations. There are different types of presentations, and each presentation is designed in a specific way. It has a beginning, it has a main body of the presentation, that means the content part, and then it has the conclusion. So I'm sure you all must have prepared PPTs for your group presentation, for your interviews, I mean, like Viva, BOSI examinations, and so forth. So it is not very uncommon these days that all the students of the business studies or any other study program are exposed to the making presentation PPTs and putting them into the discussion groups. So just gather a few points from those areas. Only thing is that in the discussion, in the PPTs, there are a couple of things which are very important, and those are like the statement must be such that they captivate the interest of the uh, participants or viewers or the listeners. Somebody had raised his hand. Would you like to ask some question? Okay. Uh, and in presentation, actually, the major deviation from the set norms in the presentation is that people go about in the presentation with a lot of text. So, a lot of text actually jumbles the PPTs, and one then simply start to read it. Instead, the PPT's main body must only include the central ideas, the main ideas, and then those ideas should be explained. One Sometimes there are too many PPTs, too many. There is a huge number of PPTs for a very small amount of time. So one should be in consonance with the availability of the time, and accordingly one should devise the number of PPTs. And there should be some signposting also in the PPTs. That means you bring in some visuals, some photographs, some legends, because they make your PPT more effective. Say, for example, if it is a PPT on the national highways, and you're talking about the scenic beauty of our national highways, or how to increase the scenic beauty of our national highways. So what you can do then, that you bring in small shots of national highway, some portions which have been flowered on the both the lanes, on both the sides of the road, and how people can come, just take a break and sit. There may be a couple of benches there, and there may be the public conveniences around. So those snippets can be added to it. So small signposting will help the PPT to captivate the interest of the viewers or the participants. Small note about the grammar. I think all of you know about the prepositions very well: of, to, until, in, and on. So when you use the when you present the PPTs, right choice of the prepositions is always desired. You can say we are. I mean, these prepositions often come before the verb. So, if we have to use the right kind of prepositions in our PPTs, then in the beginning itself, when say you can say what we talk of, what we are talking is of the national highways, or we will talk about the national highways, or we will extend the courtesies to the visiting guests, or until it happens, the work should not start. Maybe I find himself or herself in a more comfortable situation, or the entire situation is on the discussion when the session begins, like that. So these actually, you see, the grammatical point power, the aspect is discussed here only in case you have to make the larger and longer presentations based on the PPTs. So there, the right kind of preposition has to be placed at a right place in the sentence, and otherwise the sentences will not be well connected and the meaning will not be well conveyed. So, small outline about the PPTs is simply it has to be chronologically sound. That means, first of all, it should introduce the theme should be introduced well. Then some arguments in support of the theme should be given to it. Then some conceptual idea should come. Say, for example, I give the situation that if it is the beautification of national highways, then how it can be well concretized. There has to be some conceptual idea. Then you can quote that, if you look at our traditional highways, Sher Shah Suri Marg from Kabul to Kolkata, we find that there are remnants of small bowdies, small sarais, and small orchards which were, created by the then rulers of this great country. So we have to go a little bit into the history. So we must give a conceptual why the beautification of the national highways is important. Even though one has simply to be driving on the national highways, but then it should have some aesthetic value. How aesthetic value affects and make the journey more enjoyable, comfortable, less boring, and like that. Uh, is somebody trying to speak? So there should be chronology in the presentation. That means there is a concept, there is an idea, there is a substantiating part to the idea, which substantiate your information, then its benefits, then its drawbacks. You can say that beautification of highways will also cost the exchequer this much of amount, but then we will see how to manage about it. And finally, if it doesn't happen, what problems can be there, and finally you can come up with a solution. So in a small presentation of 20 minutes, maybe 1 minute can be given to the introduction, then maybe 2 3 minutes first main theme presentation, its conceptual base, then its benefits, then its drawbacks, problems, and then finally the end or the conclusion. So I do not find it much complex because all of you are already trained into making PPTs. The only thing that in PPTs, your language must be quite balanced. Yeah, Partha, someone Partha.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. Sir, this is my first class. Can you please again tell me about the PPT? Sir, due to some reasons I can't able to attend previous classes. So can you please tell me again?
So PPTs, PPT we discussed just now. Actually, we have been discussing uh, about different topics. You see, there are 4 blocks in this particular course, and the third block which we discussed was about customers, types of customers, customer behaviors, essential of customer services, and the ethics of the customer service. And then we came to this fourth block, which is about the discussions and presentations and PPTs. So PPTs are basically PowerPoint presentations, which you might, I mean, definitely you must have seen or presented also sometimes. I just mentioned right now that PPTs are one way to present your idea to the discussion group or to a large gathering, uh, maybe in a hall, in a seminar hall, in conference, or in larger meetings also. So PPTs are good actually. The only thing that if they should not be jumbled jargon too much, and there shouldn't be overloading of the slides, and too much information shouldn't be provided on the PPT itself. Rather, one should take into hands to explain it instead of putting it on the slides itself. Another important aspect of the PPT is that the speaker must have right kind of diction, and one should be well rehearsed into that topic, into that information, because only then one can prepare one present it properly. The advantage of the PowerPoint presentation is that it is highly captivating. It gives enough amount with captivated interest to explain your idea, but then some snippets, some signposts posts can also be helpful. Graphics and animations are very important addition to it. Only thing that is graphics and animation should be relevant and should be updated. Many times it is found that the information on the person is explaining something different, whereas on the slide the information is not very much updated. So one should take care in that uh, aspect, and one should have the clear voice as to what one is going to explain, and one should be well rehearsed, because only then you can present your information in a optimal, beneficial way. We will have a small discussion, because we would also like to discuss some important aspects. So somebody had asked yesterday that which units are more important. I would like to tell you that all the units are important because in IGNO evaluation methodology, you might have seen in your assignment, even though there is only one assignment, that there is a total coverage of this study material. So probably all the four blocks are equally important, but some are more important. We will come to that identification in a little while. You see, I told you right on the day one that if you're going into the job prospectus of as a business graduate, business studies graduate, whether you are required to make a verbal communication, you are also required to make the written communication for sure. Because when you make things formal, then they should always be uh, convened or executed through the written communication. So verbal communication is we discussed many things about the verbal communication, verbal phrasal style, use of models, linkers, then articles, and so forth. But when we write, all these things are equally important, because when we write, I told you, I warned you rather that in the verbal communication, some things can be missed and messed up, and those can be rectified by simply saying, "Oh, my apologies, I didn't mean that, but this is what I want to say." But in a written communication, the problem is that once it is written and sent or transmitted, it is very difficult to withdraw that communication. And also, it has the legal implication, financial implications. Business is all about legal service financial implications. Do not think that a business letter can simply be a information communication. You see, it has, say, for example, if you are asking somebody to arrange for your supply of the raw material, and if that raw material is misquoted, and then the party on the other side has arranged that much of quantum which you have misquoted, then that could be a problem if you're not able to consume or adjust that. So while writing business letters, it is very, very important that these letters are not only well drafted, but they should be technically and linguistically very, very sound. They should be properly addressed. They should be properly composed. There should be well defined subject. The main body should be clearly defining what is the purpose of writing this letter, what is the tentative outcome of the letter, and so forth. And then the letter should end with proper, pleasantries, giving complete name and address and the contact details of the sender. But sometimes, there are different types of letters in the business environment. There are formal letters. There are letters from the private sector to the government sector. There are letters from one vendor to another vendor, like that. So there are letters which are policy discussions letters. There are letters which are for the procurement and supplies, and there are letters which are just to exchange the pleasantries, as well as making an environment for the discussion or for discussing some emerging issue. So one has to know what is the purpose of this particular letter. So once you know the purpose of this particular letter, I think you can devise and design the format. What I'm trying to say is that usually the general precaution in any letter is that it should be, whether it is informally addressed, like you can say, dear sir, dear ma'am, or dear ABCD, like that. So these are informal letters. They are just to acknowledge some communication received from the person, or maybe your intention is to establish a rapport so that a futuristic meeting can be planned. But if you are asking for the chairman of the SEBI to make amendments in some regulation, then you have to write a proper letter. You have to write proper subject. So first of all, the letter has to be addressed to the right person. uh, then it has to be addressed to the right person. That means the name of the person, the designation of the person, the name of the department or body, and then complete postal address, correct postal address should be written, and then a proper subject should be given. Say, for example, like amendments in the 45th regulation of the share board, like this. And if there is any previous reference, your letter number so and so, dated so and so. So then you can say, sir, respected sir, reference to your letter number so and so, may I take this opportunity to submit that in the body of our members of the Vyapar committee have expressed deep concern over the 45th amendments in the regulation. We sincerely request you to kindly reconsider the enactment of this particular regulation. Then acknowledging, thanking you very much, something like it, sincerely, so and so, address, and then contact address. These days, do not forget to add email and your mobile number. Sometimes they are informal letters where complete address is not given or given at the bottom of the letter. So those type of letters are also written. So business letters are primarily the letters which are written as a part of the business promotion, business enhancement, and the main body of these letters is the very important body. Of course, the beginning and end to all the letters is almost required to be very, very courteous, depending upon its nature. If it is as official, it has to be done like in a set format. In the beginning, complete address, designation, name, designation, complete address, subject, reference, and the main body, and then thanking you and so forth. But if it's informal letter, it simply begins dear so and so, like that, and we look forward to meeting each other or something like it. And bus sincerely is not required there. Simply put in the name of the sender. Sometimes there are small snippets, small notes also. So those are also there. So there are different structures. You can just see different formats of business letters. One thing that makes the business letters different from the other forms of letters is that how do you explain why you are writing this letter? You see, and how do you explain your intention about some commercial activity, some business activity, and so forth. So, and sometimes there are appreciation letters also. Sometimes there are recommendation letters also. So not only the official letters are from one office to another, one place to another place. Sometimes, say for example, if you are going to be a supervisor, so going to be a manager, you might have to write recommendation letters. So you should know how to write the recommendation letters. But for that you have to study, because you are only preparing for the interview, and study about the recommendation letter. What are the recommendation letters? That means appreciating somebody for some work who has rendered that service to you under your supervision. So this must be very positive comments about someone, because recommendation letter means recommending somebody for some other assignment. So if he doesn't do that, I think it shouldn't be written. So it should be written only when you are fully satisfied, using very positive words, and also right amount of emphasis on those words. Say, for example, if somebody is writing appreciation, I hereby take this opportunity to cite the contribution made by ABC to this organization while working as a supervisor in the production line. I would like to mention that his carefulness, his dedication, his hard work has significantly increased the efficiency of our production line, and the organization has benefited a lot. I wish him great success in life and look forward a very bright future for so and so. Same is for recommendation. I take this opportunity to state that so and so working as so and so with the fact from so and so has been an asset to this organization. His service, his understanding of the environment is this, that, and so forth. So all sorts of positive words should go into the recommendation letter or the appreciation letter. So there are a lot of formats of the letters which are there in the. So maybe if you just visit some literature or maybe some department organization, then there you will come to know that there are maybe 40, 50, 60, 100 types of letters are written by different people to handle different situations. To They may be informal, formal letters to the government agencies, letters to the private agencies, interdepartmental communication, information letter, recommendation letter, appreciation letter. All sorts of letters are there. Actually, but one thing common in all these letters is that the language has to be very, very positive, lucid, clear, grammatically correct, and above all, it should be communicating. Means it shouldn't be confusing, it shouldn't be beating around the bush. Small note about the business emails. I think just like uh, we use emails in our personal correspondence, in our personal space, in the business activities also now emails are making a great impact. Almost emails are going to replace the formal communication, and since the email communication has been recognized as an authorized mode of communication, it is very, very important that we give due recognition to the language, to the format, to the dignified manner of composing emails. It is very common that emails are in the younger lot have different format as compared to the emails that are the format of emails that is used in the organized sector. You might have seen emails coming from the organized sector always refer to you or somebody else in a very clear and very dignified manner. Dear sir, respected sir, this and dear candidate, something like it. But because in our own space we don't use such addresses, we don't begin our mails, but we simply begin our mails like in a very informal manner. So one very important aspect of the emails in the business administration, business environment is that I used the word etiquette in yesterday's discussion. So etiquette means the right kind of conduct in the right kind of atmosphere. So emails are is a quite a formal way of communication. Let me use the word. It is not informal way of communication in the organized business activity. It is a quite a formal way of communication. One is expected to be quite formal. That means one should know how to address the other side to which the email is being sent. One. Secondly, the language of the email should be very clear, lucid, respectful, dignified, and at the same time, it has to be very, very crispy. It shouldn't be too descriptive, but then it shouldn't be just pointers also in your mail. It cannot be just a bulleted one, except that where maybe bullets are required to categorize the information in a structured manner. And these days, if you see the emails, they have the file number, they have date, they have addresses, details, they have proper subject, they have reference, then there's a main body, just like letters. Then they have the concluding part, then they have the sender's address, name, address, and contact number, and so forth. So everything is same as far as the operational part is concerned. I don't feel much to talk about because all of you have been using emails quite frequently. So the terminology and technology is well known to you. Uh, what is inbox? What is outbox? What is draft? What is move? And all this is known to you. How to open the email, how to forward, how to reply, how to delete it, how to put it into draft, and then again retrieve from the draft and again recompose it or revise it. So all this is known to you. My purpose is to discuss with you is that we should know right kind of address. You know how to address. We should know if we are addressing our seniors, if we are addressing some very senior professor, if we are addressing some senior bureaucrat, we should use right kind of address for that. So this is very important. Otherwise, emails can also be a nightmare if those are not, because the problem is that once those are sent, then they cannot be retrieved. So one has to be very, very careful while sending the. So one should twice check, particularly emails to the government sector, email to the senior officers, emails to the people who are placed at the higher level, and so forth. So do not become very informal in your business emails. Be formal. And another thing is that there's a lot of terminology, sorry, abbreviations and acronyms which is being used by the younger lot. So we don't; those are not preferred in the business emails. In business emails, almost they are full expanded terminologies are used. So as far as possible, the abbreviations and acronyms, if they are not very common or if they are not explained in the beginning of the communication, they should be avoided. So there are a few tips. One should know where to use the caps. One shouldn't use unnecessary the capitals, you know, and one should use the proper ending pleasantries like with the kind regards, best regards, yours faithfully, yours sincerely, etc. So these are part of the good emails, and or all the very best if it is for the compatriot or if it is for the younger ones or if it is for the some person, you can have a very nice day, sir, or something like it. Thanking you, sir. Instead of thanking you, I think all of us know it's a wrong. It's a wrong phrase. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanking you is not desired. It's a wrong use of English language. And at the same time, please, as I mentioned yesterday, day before yesterday also, know the CC and BCC rules. If you are not willing to show the emails sent to a couple of other people who you want to keep in loop, then make it BCC. And if you want the main sender, main addressee to know that this copy has been sent to somebody else also, then make it CC. So there should be complete and full postal address of your company from which you sending the email to, and if possible, give your web link of your web link or your company's web link. Uh, one thing should be avoided, like the language which we use on the WhatsApp shouldn't be part of the e-communication or the emails. Sometimes before tomorrow, like this, ASAP, as soon as possible, PFA, please find attached or something like it. These must not be part of the emails. And like have a good day, good morning, or some like light jokes that goes commonly in the WhatsApp, they should also not be part of your email. So one has to be respectful. Particularly, I think one has to keep in mind that if your email is going to a large group, then the rules of the work ethics, the rules of the workspace culture must also be in consideration, because you should know that if it goes to a large group, it might be a homogeneous group. It might have people from divergent backgrounds, different sexes, different genders, different strata of people working in different spheres. Whether your mail is pertinent to all those people, or maybe if you are discussing some point which are policy matters, and whether or not that is to be divulged, so just be very sure that the uniformed message do not harm your interest if it is circulated in the entire group. So as I have already told you that avoid acronyms and abbreviations until and unless they are very commonly in vogue or in use. So these are few things about emails. So those are not very different, because you have been using internet, you have been using emails, you have been using WhatsApp messages, you have been using a lot of other social media platforms. But let me just emphasize on one point, that emails are treated as official correspondence and can be taken for the court evidences, and those are recognized way of correspondence. So be responsible, feel responsible, be very respectful to the language, and consider whom you are sending, what you are sending before finally signing it off. So that is what all about the emails. So we will come to have a brief recapitulatory session of the entire discussion today, what we discussed in the last 5 6 days. Or before that, would you like to have a session for the discussion? Couple of minutes. If you have any queries. Am I audible to learners?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So would you like to ask some questions? Otherwise, we will take small concluding recapitulatory note.
No, sir, no doubts.
Okay.
No
Okay.
doubt, sir.
Somebody had asked yesterday about the grammar. So only thing about the right kind of grammar is, for the for the English at the workplace is basically emanating from uh, reading or reading the literature that deals with the different activities at the workplace, its ethics, its norms, its socio-cultural importance, and its requirement. What are the crisis management, and all sorts of things. So we use different type of language in different kind of situation, and I have already told you that if it is a customer behavior, if it is a customer service, how we should behave, what type of tone and tenor our language should have, and like that. So dear learners, before we conclude our session for the day, I would like to tell you that English at the workplace is a course which is BEGLA 136, which is a course of 8 credits and meant for the students of business administration. So this is a very important in the sense that, of course, you will study various business strategies, commerce, economy, and its various facets. But while implementing all those core knowledge, sir, outline presentation box. Can you flash the message again? Can you repeat the message again? Somebody said something. Outline presentation box to draw and write. What do you mean by? Can you explain it?
Writing in a box like uh, box like
There are, yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, each unit has a self. Let us do exercise, right?
okay.
So whatever you study, that should be on the basis of your study. You should fill in that box, and then you should match that box with the model answers. Uh, uh, Along with the activity, there are answers also given, because half of the reading material is dealing with the model answers. So if you can study a unit and write its answers in the boxes given, and then match it with the model answers. So it is a basically inbuilt teacher type. This is inbuilt teacher type study material, where there is a self activity, there is a self check exercise, and then there are model answers, so that you can match and you can gauge yourself whether or not you are properly comprehending the contents of the study material.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is a self-check exercise. You fill in the right or whatever it is, the way you comprehend from the reading, and then write that in the boxes, and then match the information of the boxes with the model answers. Sir, please guide. Acha, good units.
Yes, sir. Guide us for the assessment, sir. How to start or how to, prepare it. What is the exactly rule that we should follow that will
Okay.
help us?
No, actually, the problem is that our evaluation is comprehensive evaluation. So if I say that unit so and so is only important, there might be questions from the others. But let me just still emphasis on, like, if you see the block one, which is the exploring the job market, right? So definitely there will be a couple of questions from this. So first of all, searching for job is a quite a continuous activity. So there might not be, but profiling oneself for the job will definitely one important one, because this is basic understanding as to how to profile yourself for the job. What qualities you must foresee in yourself, and what qualities, how to assess the situation, all sorts of things are there. And then like responding to job advertisements is also because it involves various strategies and rules and regulations as to uh, how to respond to the job. So preparing for job and responding to job advertisements are two units in consonance, and maybe what I'm trying to say that there might be questions on how to respond to the advertisement, or how to look for the jobs. What are the areas where to look for the jobs can be a question. Similarly, profiling oneself can be a very specific question, because that is the very basic requirement of your becoming ready for the job market. Similarly, if you go for the preparation for job interview, this is very, very important. This is rather very important, because all the 3 4 points that are discussed in this particular block are important. Behavioral point of view, using body language effectively is very, very important. Might be considered for questioning in the term and examination. And then nature and form of the portfolio, and writing your own CV. This is again very important. Maybe a small set of questions can be preparing to face an interview. How to, but if you are preparing to face an interview, automatically you will know about importance of CV and its structure and how to prepare it. But I feel that the first two topics are very, very important, using body language effectively and portfolio. All the four are important, but two are prospective for the term and evaluation. So you can focus on these two. Maybe you can think of deeply studying them and preparing. And let me just tell you that reading comprehension can be either from one of the passages that are given here, and then you might have to answer those questions, but not taking the study material as such base material for this reading comprehension questions. It can be from outside, but the methodology is same. You read it and then answer the questions appropriately, and then try to identify the typical terminology that is used in the comprehension, because that becomes your base for the vocabulary. So there might be two types of questions. One is to identify the vocabulary from comprehension. Another is to answer maybe a couple of questions. So be ready with that. But profiling, portfolio making and is very important area of discussion. Coming to again work block 3, which is skills for workplace 1, very important. And in this one, you see, all the 4 units are very important. You see, why they are important is that they are the basic requirements of any executive, business executive, or sales executive, or assistant manager, or like that. If you are going to vie for these kinds of posts and you are invited for the interview, you must know. So I would say that you read all these 4 units properly, because they can be prospective areas for your evaluation for your questions. Otherwise also, these are very interesting. We have discussed them quite in details, because those are general traits expected from everyone, but more so from the people who are looking to work in a workplace, typical workplace. The workplace has its own, each workplace is a small socio-cultural unit in itself, and it requires different etiquettes, different cultural awarenesses, and gender perceptions. I already explained these. Then unit 10 and 11 collectively put together makes one unit. So I think if you understand the customer, automatically you understand the essentials of the customer service. If the customer is rude, non-polite, unbecoming, talkative, repetitive, demanding, unsatisfied, then what one has to do? That is part of the unit 11. Automatically, you have to be polite, you have to be straightforward, you have to be firm, you take extra mile, and something like it. You can be patient listener. You can be extending extra service, extra benefit or something like that. So, and then work ethics. This is a behavioral aspect. All these 3 4 central work ethics are very very important. Those are interpersonal skills, how to understand each other at the workplace, how to make others comfortable working with you, and then initiative takers, and then be dependable. Very important, very very important. But definitely there will be a couple of questions from this unit, at least this block. This block is actually central to the entire course. So block 3 is very very important. All the 4 units are very important. Block 4 is basically to uh, to be read as more of a practice, because there might be small note on writing emails or writing business letters, because writing emails is a very common these days. So I do not know, but then you just go through cursorily. But block 2 and 3 very important, and block 1 particularly profiling yourself, and uh, sorry, just give me a minute to turn off it again. Profiling yourself, and uh, preparing for a job. Maybe the all the 4 units can be put together and maybe read as 2 units itself, because searching for a job is entailing only when you profile, when you think that you are eligible for a job. So put together unit block 3 is very important. All the 4 units are very important. Block 4 can be read leisurely, because much of it you know already. You know PPTs, discussion forums, emails, you know at least you know how to write letters. So business letters have a small different format. So all these things are there, and there isn't much except that if you are little bit interested, communicative, interactive with your peer group, the course becomes very helpful to present yourself for the job market. So I think I have been speaking for now very long time. If you have any point for the discussion, I can take it up. Otherwise, we can wind it up, and then I can say thank you for being with me for these 6 sessions. I hope we have established some rapport. I have been able to communicate something, not all, of course, but you have been very very patient listeners and very creative listeners. Your feedback at some moments was very very important for me. I really enjoyed it. So if you want to discuss further for few minutes, I am open for this session. Or if you don't have any query, then please say that yes, we can wind it up the way you feel convenient with.
No doubt, sir. Thank you.
No, sir.
Okay. So all the very best to all of you. Well, take care. And if anything else I can do to let me know, I will. You can contact me through regional center also. They will forward all your queries to me. Any query, it will be welcome and it will be properly responded to.
So I just had a question. If
Yeah.
you wanted to contact you regarding some queries, as you said right now, that through the regional center, how we are supposed to do that.
The address from which you have been notified about your this session, they have it. It must have come from the regional center, right?
Yes.
But if you want, you can have my number also. No problem.
So, could you please type it down in the chat?
96541
96541
77
77
491
491.
1. Right?
Yes, sir.
You can repeat it.
96541
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So,
Okay.
I had another query also. So it's been really wonderful to have this lecture with you. Thank you so much for explaining it to us. You made it so understandable. Like we could really understand all the units in such a short time. Like it really helped me as a student. But I had another query that we had a class for environmental studies, but we did not get much time to understand it. Like we were able to cover up only like like 3 chapters. So I just wanted to know if you could please put forth my request to the institute that if we could have more classes, online classes, to help us with our doubts and other stuff.
Yeah, thank you very much for your kind words and your query as well. It is session is being automatically, it is being recorded, so your request is being conveyed to the concerned authorities automatically, right? But I will also put forward your query, and I will just remind them because it is already recorded and it is already now in the cognizance of the concerned people who are responsible to arrange sessions, right?
Yes, sir.
So thank you very much, dear colleagues,
Sir.
friends, and learners. Uh,
Thank you, sir.
Thank
uh,
you, sir.
all the very best for you, all the very best for
Thank
your
you, sir.
future endeavors. And thanks once again. Be happy, be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Happy Holi.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, dear. Welcome.